The Donroe Doctrine. How America's power play in Venezuela strengthens Xi Jinping's strategy in Asia. Just hours before American commandos stormed Caracas and arrested Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, a senior Chinese official met with him at the presidential palace, a powerful symbol of Beijing's long-standing support for one of its closest allies in the Western Hemisphere. But this show of solidarity was abruptly overshadowed. The lightning-fast U.S. operation sent a direct message to Beijing. When it comes to regions Washington considers its own backyard, Chinese influence has clear limits. After decades of investment and billions of dollars in loans, China now risks losing strategic ground in Venezuela almost overnight. Beijing had poured over $60 billion into the country, primarily through oil for loan deals, securing a vital energy supply line and a significant political foothold in Latin America. Paradoxically, this dramatic American intervention may end up reinforcing Chinese President Xi Jinping's global vision. Why? Because the operation reflects a return to an old and controversial idea: spheres of influence. The White House framed Maduro's arrest as part of a revived Donroe Doctrine, renamed by President Trump as the Donroe Doctrine. The message is unequivocal. The United States dominates the Western Hemisphere, while other major powers are expected to remain within their respective spheres. Trump's advisor, Stephen Miller, made this philosophy explicit in an interview with Jake Tapper, stating that the world is not governed by shared rules, but by brute power, what he called the iron laws of history. The immediate fallout was predictable. Global oil markets shuttered, and Washington levied a new wave of sanctions, targeting any entity still doing business with Maduro's deposed government. In Latin America, reactions were split. U.S. allies quietly applauded the move, while others condemned it as a violation of national sovereignty, echoing a long and painful history of American intervention in the region. For Beijing, the challenge is now one of risk mitigation. Chinese diplomats are working behind the scenes to protect their investments, not just in Venezuela, but across the continent. This involves renegotiating debt with new governments, diversifying their assets away from politically volatile states, and reinforcing their commercial footprint in less controversial sectors like telecommunications and port management. They are learning a hard lesson. Economic partnership offers little protection when geopolitical interests collide. The global response has been fractured. At the United Nations, a fierce debate erupted, pitting the principle of sovereignty against the justification for intervention. The European Union and the Organization of American States issued carefully worded statements, calling for stability but stopping short of either fully endorsing or condemning the U.S. action. The world, it seems, is uncertain how to navigate this new landscape where great powers unilaterally enforce their will. For Beijing, however, this worldview is strangely convenient. If Washington is willing to assert its dominance so forcefully in its own hemisphere, it loses the moral high ground to criticize China for doing the same in Asia. The Donroe Doctrine provides Xi Jinping with a powerful rhetorical shield. The U.S. focus on Venezuela may mean fewer military resources are allocated to containing Chinese actions in the South China Sea or defending Taiwan. Beijing has long accused Washington of trying to contain its rise through naval patrols near Taiwan and new security alliances. Now, with U.S. attention diverted, China may feel emboldened to escalate its gray zone tactics, using Coast Guard patrols and economic pressure rather than overt military force to assert its claims. According to Rush Doshi of Georgetown University and the Council on Foreign Relations, the erosion of global norms against the use of force is great for Beijing. Every time a great power acts unilaterally, it weakens the international rules-based order that has, until now, constrained China's ambitions. And if U.S. attention remains diverted to crises in Latin America, China gains even more strategic space to consolidate its influence in Asia, potentially accelerating its timeline for goals like the reunification with Taiwan. Now, critics say, the U.S.'s own actions are validating China's central argument that might, not principles, defines the modern world order. Washington's move in Caracas provides Beijing with the perfect justification for its own regional ambitions. The arrest of Venezuela's president by the US signals a stark return to power-based geopolitics under the so-called Donroe Doctrine. While it reasserts American dominance in its historical sphere of influence, it simultaneously provides a blueprint and a justification for its primary global rival. In this PulsePoint News analysis, we've explored how American actions may unintentionally strengthen Xi Jinping's vision for Chinese dominance in Asia, from Taiwan to the South China Sea. The world is now watching for the next move. Will this lead to a de-escalation, where great powers tacitly agree to respect each other's domains? Or are we entering a more dangerous phase of tit-for-tat escalations in a global gray zone, where the lines between peace and conflict are increasingly blurred? As major powers redraw these invisible lines across the globe, the stability of the entire international system hangs in the balance. The ultimate question remains unanswered. Will this new era of force-based diplomacy stabilize the world or push it closer to a conflict that no one can afford? Stay tuned to PulsePoint News, where we follow the power shifts that shape our world, providing the context you need for the headlines of today and tomorrow.